Hey, this is Jack at TC3. Today we're going to replace a cam position actuator solenoid valve, both intake and exhaust. First we're going to take off, unhook the battery because it is an electrical component. Now we need to remove the baffle / engine cover, and to do so we're going to use a 8mm socket on the air tube that goes to the baffle and take that tube off. Now we'll remove the breather hose, and that's just like one of those squeeze clamps you need to pull off, and remove that from the baffle as well. You'll need to take your oil fill cap off. And underneath this baffle there's a clamp that clamps onto your throttle body. This is it right here. This is the underside of this cowl, and that's the clamp you'll be undoing, just so you can kind of see what you're going for. It'll slide in that groove like that, and that's how you get it off. After that, it should just lift up and come off. Here's your throttle body. Here's your valve covers, valve cover, and here's your solenoid valves right there. You can see intake and exhaust. They're actually marked on the valve cover, which is nice. We're going to take a little compressed air and clean this area because we don't want any junk falling into the engine after we take them valves out. Here they are. The one closest to the front will be the intake valve. Okay, you're going to squeeze your plug and then pull the plug off. Don't pull it by the wires. If you pull any of them wires loose, you'll have just as much trouble. Okay, so you're going to have a 10mm bolt holding this down. Just going to grab it with a pair of pliers. You're going to have to wiggle it around pretty good, and then it'll come out for you. Oil will drip out of it. And there's the hole that came from, with the mounting hole for the bolt. Here's the new intake valve. And I'm just going to oil it up because it's got to go back in that hole. And I'm going to oil up the O-ring as well, which is what's going to seal it. You can use white lithium grease or oil. Both will work. So you're going to wiggle this back into the hole. And you try to line up the bolt hole, you know, with the other bolt hole so you can get that in there. Now again, a 10mm, and you're going to bolt down your new solenoid valve. Okay, you don't have to over tighten that. It's just going into aluminum and it's not going to go anywhere. Now we'll just put our plug on. Wait to hear that click. And that one's done. We're going to follow the same procedure with the exhaust side of this. Again, 10mm bolt to take out. You're going to grab it again with a pliers. And you're going to have to wiggle it to get it out. If you buy both of these at the same time and buy the General Motors parts, what you're going to notice is the top plastic part for the exhaust valve is a very dark gray, and for the intake valve is a very light gray. So that they look exactly the same other than that. Okay, there's the hole. Again, we're going to oil this one up just like the other one. Rub that on there, make sure it's all the way on the O-ring so it gets a good seal. Going to put that in. Again, try to line up the bolt with the bolt hole. $10mm wrench to tighten that as well. And now we'll just take our plug and push that on. You're going to listen for the click, and that's on. Now we're going to put the cowl back on. There's 2 mounting rubber mounts that will go to these studs that are on the back side of the valve cover. They push on there, and that boot's going to push on your throttle body, and that's what's going to hold it down. So make sure the back mounts are on, and then push the front onto the throttle body. Just reach your hand under there. Make sure that boot gets on that throttle body properly, and then you're going to tighten that. First, we'll put on our filler cap, our oil filler cap. Now we're going to tighten the throttle body clamp, and it goes in from the side like we showed before. Okay, your breather hose is just going to go on. That's one of those squeezy clamps, so we're going to squeeze them together, put that back on. Then all that's left is your air tube from your air box to your baffle. And we're going to tighten that clamp, and that's going to use an 8mm socket. The same as the throttle body uses an 8mm socket as well, if I didn't mention that earlier. Okay, so we got that all tight. Now we're going to put our battery back on, our battery cables back on, and tighten them. This will have cleared your error code. This one was throwing a P0014, which is an exhaust valve code. But the 0012, 11, 13, and 14 all have to do with these actuator valves. So we'll put this on it. We'll clear the code, and it should be ready to go. Thanks for watching.